Well, it's Thursday, and you know what that means. Time to talk some tech reports. On the docket this week, possible updates to an outdated provision in the Electronic Communications Privacy Act, the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act becoming mainstream, and what companies have your back when it comes to keeping your information private. Joining me now, RT's own Andrew Blake.
Megan.
Thank you for joining us. So a lot is happening here, Andrew. Let's start with the Electronic Communications Privacy Act, better known as the ECPA. As we all recall, this was a provision in this law that actually made it possible for the FBI to gather former CIA Director General David Petraeus's personal emails. This stirred a lot of talk on the Hill. What's the latest with this?
You know, it stirred a lot of talk on the Hill, but people so quickly forgotten about it since then. But this is actually something that people have been asking for years, what we're going to talk about right now. There's actually a bipartisan effort in the Senate right now to update the ECPA. Now, the ECPA has been around since 1986, and it's pretty much the standard for how law enforcement deals with requesting online stored communications. Now, email today is a lot different than email in 1986, as you can imagine. I mean, for one thing, the internet is a million times faster. So, the ECPA hasn't really been updated during these 20-something years, though. So what has happened is that Senator Patrick Leahy, a Democrat from Vermont, he's championing this legislation that would add on to the ECPA a new provision that would say that law enforcement, if they want to go and obtain emails, your private emails stored in Gmail, Outlook, whatever, they're going to need a warrant. And you might think that's actually crazy, but no, right now, if there's emails that are older than 180 days, just half a year, all you need is an administrative subpoena, which is kind of a document that you just go, pretty much anybody can just go sign off on it. You don't really need to have probable cause. So it's really easy right now for the government to just obtain it's a relative word, but obtain updated emails without really needing to do that much. So they're looking right now to change that so that you will actually need a warrant if you want to obtain someone's personal correspondence.
And it's interesting to watch this law that was actually being used against a lot of American citizens, be used against generals in the Army as well. But let's speak about government surveilling your electronic correspondence. Now, a report released today confirms that there was a 5% bump, in information requests through FISA, the Foreign Intelligence Service Act, and second, that all of the 1,856 requests were actually granted. So on one hand, we have the ECPA being reformed, but what does this say about FISA and the fact that it's not being reformed?
It's pretty dangerous, actually. You know, the people who are fighting against ECPA, there's a couple of them, and their argument is, well, you know, if we have to go get a subpoena, if we have to actually get something beyond this administrative court order, that's going to hinder our investigation. What if a terrorist is emailing someone the other day? You know, we have to be able to go in there, and we don't want a warrant. But the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, FISA, what that does is says that the government can just go and collect intelligence, and those people never even have to know. It's completely secretive, and that's exactly like you said. There's been a 5% increase during the last year. So compared to the year before, the government is 5% more willing to go out there and say, here's a person, we think they did something, we want to wiretap them, we want to know everything that we know about them, that we can know about them, and we want to make sure that they don't know. And you know, also today is crazy timing because there's actually the Obama administration submitted a brief, I believe, saying that they want to make sure that FISA doesn't get changed. If they actually start saying like, oh no, we have to make some adjustments here, it's going to be dangerous because it's going to explain our counterterrorism measures, apparently.
Andrew, we only have about a minute left, but the people at the EFF, Electronic Frontier Foundation, have just come out with a yearly review of companies and their privacy practices. Who has your back?
Sonic.net, they're an internet service provider from California. They famously were the internet service provider that was subpoenaed by I believe, a federal grand jury investigation for the Eastern District Court of Virginia because they wanted internet records of Jacob Appelbaum, who is a American affiliate of WikiLeaks. And Sonic actually stood up for him and really tried to fight back for him in court. But what this EFF, the new report says is that places like Google, places like Twitter, even though they say that they're...
Google, the place that has all those emails that it's actually giving up to the request 90% of the time?
In the grand scheme of things, the EFF says that Google gets a 5 out of 6 because even though they comply with all of these requests, they try to help out. Same with Twitter. They will actually tell you if your information is being requested, and they'll try to help you out. So
very interesting. RT web producer Andrew Blake.